it's your girl Sheryl Lynn, and you're watching Sweep the League on Alamo City Podcast Network.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League.
Welcome, everybody, back to Sweep the League. It is the Tuesday edition of Sweep the League. It's going to be a quick version of Sweep the League. We're only going to go roughly about an hour. Derek Gerben will be back tomorrow. This is Rudy Campos Jr., Coach Gio running a little bit late, but we're only going to go for an hour today. Some stuff has come up. So, of course, we're going to give you a show every single day. More than likely, we're going to get back with you on Thursday because Thursday we may have a dark day. I'm not quite sure yet, just to give you a heads up. On the Sweep the League side, Rudy Campos Jr. here for Sweep the League. Again, we are part of the Alamo City Podcast Network. Go to YouTube. Once you go to YouTube, search Alamo City Podcast Network. You can get you can smash the subscribe button. You'll be able to follow us there, get notifications when we go live. We are Monday through Friday, 2 to 3:30. Today's going to be 2 to 3. We are joined, as always, with Coach Gio here, getting ready to go. Coach, we got a very short show today. We're going into the Dak Prescott news. Rumor has it he's going to rewrite the contracts again. Basically, he's going to rewrite the record books for, quarterbacks. And then also we've got college football expansion. Finally, we're seeing it's going to be the 5 division or conference winners, and then also the next 7 ranked teams. Kind of confusing on that, which we'll get into that as well. Also, man, Dad's Rock, 2000 Dad's Rock. We're going to get into Alamo City Sportscast. They're doing a whole 2000 Dad's Rock. They're trying to put a playlist together for Spotify. We'll get into all that here in one whole hour, man. Gio, you good today, man? I mean, I don't mean to rush you, man. I know you're rushing and all getting into the show here.
No, it's just been a busy day at the office. So
yeah, I got the exact same thing. So ain't no worry about that, man.
I'm glad that the playoffs are expanding, so my Georgia Bulldogs don't have to go through what
they
went through last year.
Any Carolina jersey. This is the greatest Carolina player of all time right here. Number 40, Joseph Forte. At least in my opinion, the greatest Carolina player of all time. Of course, Tim says bring that jersey.
It's not Michael Jordan?
I have my Jordan, but I don't want to wear the Jordan today. The Jordan is like, it has an aura around it. I just don't wear it, and I don't put it on bum shows like Sweep the League. So I have to.
That's what it is. Gotcha.
I don't throw the Aaron Donald, hype jerseys out there or anything like that. So I'm definitely not doing anything like that. Jordan's not peanuts, man. Sweep the League is peanuts. So, and it's funny.
Well, if we can ever get Michael Jordan on the show, that would be really good, Rudy.
Would you be speechless if we got Jordan? Would you be able to ask him any questions if you were to get a player like Michael Jordan on the show?
I'm going to ask him, Mike, how come you can't sell that damn home in Chicago? It's been on the market for like damn 20 years, dude. Come on.
Nobody can afford the price tag, man. I mean,
well, the home is also really catered to MJ, so I don't know if the average person is looking to apparently it's been hard to sell, Rudy.
Yeah, it is definitely a hard sell. Hey, Tim Gonzalez in here wants me to burn the jersey. Gio, he wants you to help me out. Now, of course, you're not going to turn me to the dark side. Chris Leha, what's up, brother? Hey, man. No worries, man. Hey, our shows are on podcast now. So you can go to anywhere podcasts are available, find the latest episode of Sweep the League. Comes out the same day when we're done. Also, always catch it again, on YouTube. It's on there as well. Say what's been going on this couple of shows, but what's good? Hey, man, everything's good, man. We're just chilling today. It's going to be an hour show. We're going to get into some Dak Prescott talk because apparently he's going to rewrite the numbers book again when it comes to contracts. So we're going to have to figure all that out with Dak here. College football expansion. No Spurs Cheeseman today because it is a short show. We'll get back into Spurs Cheeseman. Derek Gerben will be back tomorrow, so don't everybody worry about that. We'll talk about more Spurs Cheeseman tomorrow. So, Chris, appreciate Chris, too, MCS General Contracting, sponsor for one of the shows here on the Alamo City Podcast Network. So, appreciate you, Chris, for all you do for Alamo City Podcast Network. Tim, how about the big news last night at the UIW? Did you see that fight at the basketball game? It was on SportsCenter. Like, they showed it all.
Yeah, no, I actually had some I put some money on that game. It was part of a parlay. But no, I did catch out the fight, and also obviously this morning's show they were talking about it.
Yeah, I don't want to take away that thunder from them, but I did see the fight. It's a fight, man. It happens, right? I mean,
there's fights.
Shit happens.
It's probably not as common nowadays. Obviously, this is a new era of players. Nobody wants to fight each other or foul nobody. But
well, I'm gonna try to get Katie Goodman on, if not tomorrow's show, and tomorrow or maybe Thursday, to see if we can talk to her about what had happened, since she was actually there broadcasting the game for UIW. So we'll see about that. They're going to really overpay for Dak. Chris jumps us into our topic, man. Our main topic here. It came out today, and I've actually got it right here, Gio. So let me, God, who was the guy that said it? I'm over here trying to figure it out here. Yeah, so Dak Prescott, basically they're saying he's going to reset the market, man. Now, I don't buy the whole, oh, man. The question mainly is, they're talking about $60 million for Dak, and I can already scream into the heavens. Dak's not worth $60 million. I mean, not at all. That's talking Patrick Mahomes money. You're talking maybe Lamar Jackson, multiple MVP. I mean, Lamar Jackson, that's the type of money, those are the type of money that goes to those guys. But $60 million for Dak, why? What is Jerry thinking about possibly restructuring the deal or getting him a deal to where he's paying him $60 million? That's just ridiculous, man.
It's a lot of money, Rudy, but what is the market willing to pay, right? We talk about these contracts continuing to go up after the last few years. I remember Jared Goff's contract thinking, man, that's high. That contract's nothing compared to what some of the guys are getting. I mean, there are ways, Rudy, to structure the contract, right? Front load it. It becomes very team friendly throughout the deal, but nonetheless, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And we talked about this, Rudy. They don't have to bring Dak back. Like,
what is the point? Like, bringing him back? I mean, that's what we said.
You don't have to do it. There are ways. Listen, if the Rams were able to trade Jared Goff, his contract for Matthew Stafford's contract, there are ways, Rudy, where you can get underneath a contract. And now, I think he has 1 year left, right, Rudy? But they have to normally they extend during the 1 year. Look, if I'm Dallas, think about it. Dude. Think about it, Rudy. They might as well think about, hey, listen, come postseason time, Rudy. He's won how many playoff games? 2?
I believe so. It's not much.
It's not much, especially over the last few years, Rudy. He's wet the bed in the postseason. Now, obviously, his defense didn't really help either. But nonetheless, you don't have to give him the contract. You can trade him, let him be someone else's headache. If I'm the Cowboys, you look at all avenues. I think at the end of the day, they're going to have to pay him. Whether you go through Kirk Cousins' route, or remember Kurt's coming from his Achilles injury, Rudy, he may not ever be the same. So that's not a guarantee. Russell Wilson, even though he had a really good year of just dinking and dunking, look,
you're talking about guys. You're talking about guys that.
Yeah. I was just saying, there's just a bunch of guys. There's not a game changer out there unless you're able to trade for some of the best quarterbacks. How about Aaron Rodgers, Rudy?
He's in New York. You're not going to get Aaron Rodgers on the very last part of his leg. I mean, give me a break, man. You're not going to do that at all.
Just imagine, though, somehow, some way they're able to trade Dak for Aaron. Aaron comes to.
But you need to get an offensive line.
No, I know. There are a lot of things. I'm just talking out my you-know-what right now. So they're going to have to probably really sign him, Rudy. And as a Rams fan, I'm just sure. Sign him again, Rudy. Get to the postseason and crumble as you normally do. Go ahead and crumble.
The argument that Cowboy fan can make is, who else is there? You said it. Who else is there? And, Chris Gonzalez, appreciate all you guys in here. Appreciate Tim Gonzalez as he shares this podcast on his Facebook. Hey, share it everywhere. Share this podcast. We're growing. Like I said, we haven't even touched the surface yet. We haven't even scratched the surface on what we've got coming out. But Chris Gonzalez basically, you're giving $60 million to a quarterback who is 12th best in the league, and he's correct, man. But then look at Dallas' side of the ball, Gio. I mean, who in the hell are you going to get? You're not going to trade for a Mahomes or Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Herbert. You're not going to trade for even a Stafford or a Goff. I mean, you said, oh, go get a Kirk Cousins. Well, Kirk is a Band-Aid. I mean, he's not worth 60, but you have to pay him because there's nobody out there that you can get. You're going to have to draft your future. I mean, then you're talking about paying him $60 million. I mean, you're going to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And the only reason why is because he wears a stupid star on his head.
And like I said, there are ways, Rudy, to structure this. Pat Mahomes' contract looks crazy, but it's been fairly team friendly. Yeah, it's spread out very well. Yeah. So there's going to be some years where he's making a lot of money. Some years, especially the last few years, where he's not making, quote unquote, the best money in the market. But look, if I'm Dallas, you look at everything. They had their chance, though, Rudy, a few years ago. And like I said, the 49ers were going after Stafford. It didn't happen. The Cowboys should have also been in the front there, but it hasn't. And now, guess what? 60 mil. And look, the stats, he's played well. But to me, the Cowboys are not looking to play just well, Rudy. They're looking to make a deep run in the postseason, right? They're looking for a Super Bowl run. And at this point, Rudy, his last 2 playoff games, this has been bad. It's been terrible.
So I appreciate JC. Special Leaf is in the house. Hashtag Special Leaf is in the house. Moving around San Antonio. This goes back to the question of this. Okay, you're Jerry Jones. There's nobody out there. There's no market where you can go get a quarterback with the capabilities of a Dak Prescott right now. Because like I said, I mean, if you want to say, well, look at free agency, Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, Jackson, Allen, Hurts, those guys are signed all the way to 2029. I mean, you're not waiting 4 more years for one of these guys to come off the books and try to get, one of these guys to be the quarterback for the Cowboys. So you're going to have to ride with Dak. Now the question is posed. You signed Dak to $60 million a year. You're rewriting, like I said, contracts and everything. You're making him the highest paid QB. Then you have to tell yourself, man, McCarthy's got to be gone. He doesn't fit. Dak and McCarthy don't fit together. Like
I think look.
No, and this is no problem. Before you get into it, let's take into consideration. Less than 24 hours ago, Jimmy Johnson came on board as an advisory board member. So
yeah, no, I saw that just randomly on my timeline.
It's not much, but I mean, I'm not saying Jimmy would coach the boys, but definitely, if you sign Dak to 60 a year, McCarthy's gone, dude. There's no way. You can't win with both. Let's be real. You can't win.
My problem is, Rudy, you sign him to a long-term contract, and let's say they do the same thing, 12-4 or whatever, how the thing now adds up with an extra game.
And they flame him out.
Yeah, for first round, then you got to pay him a bunch of money. I'm along the lines of Dallas to just do a reset at quarterback. Now, it's so hard, though, because you have Parsons, right? You have Diggs. You have all these young guys on these. And look, CD is going to have to – he's going to have to be paid big money, Rudy. He's another guy you're going to have to pay. Mm-hmm. Figure out a way to pay him. And some of the other guys, Micah's going to – I mean, Rudy, he's been one of the best defensive players in the league. He's going to have a contract. They're not going to have a lot of money. This isn't baseball, Rudy, where the Dodgers can just go around and – prorate contracts until somebody retires. They're paying them like $1 million a year, which is obviously bullcrap. We'll talk about that another day.
The Bobby Bonilla effect.
Yeah, Rudy, I hate that. It's really irking me. Unfortunately, the Mariners, our ownership is broke. Don't want to spend no money. But look,
sounds like a team from San Antonio.
Oh yeah, well, Rudy, low blow.
Yeah, very
don't you live in Texas?
I live in Texas. I don't live in San Antonio anymore, but I live in Texas, so I'm okay.
No, I know. But look,
you're right. I mean, you're right about that, man. You've got to pay Parsons. You're gonna have to pay Diggs. You're gonna pay CD Lamb. I mean, you've got people you have to pay. As it is going into the offseason, their offensive line. I mean, they're gonna have to fix that offensive line somehow, some way or the other.
Well, I mean, they have pieces there. I mean, I thought. Listen, it sucks because we all think about the playoff run, right? But during the regular season, obviously when they played the 49ers, they got hit in the mouth and they had a debacle against the Cardinals in which they lost. But overall, I mean, Rudy, they had a good year. It's just good is not good enough. Jerry Jones is itching.
No.
He said he'll put a big check down for a Super Bowl. He's gonna do that this year. They're gonna have to figure some things out. The draft is coming up. They draft pretty well. Do you think they make splashes already? A big splash. I'm talking
In the offseason?
Derrick Henry, maybe Saquon.
Fine. We'll go that route. And, Joe Garcia, thank you, Joe. Hey, Joe runs the Alamo City Podcast Network, does a fantastic job for us here on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So definitely, he says, what's good, fellas? Fire Jerry Jones. He's a problem with the boys. You can't really fire the owner, sadly, unless you find some dirt on him. Then you can probably run him out of the league. But people are asking for Trey Lance to become the starter. The possibility is there. But this is the splash that I was hoping they would make. I mean, you're right. You say Saquon, you say Derrick Henry, but my question in my heart for Cowboy fans is, what does that do for the team? Saquon and Derrick don't put you over the hump.
I think it could, because their running game was not very good last year, Rudy. It was,
but it goes
mediocre.
Back to you and I have had this conversation a million times. Go get a Henry, go get a Saquon. When you have a coach who's air happy. And he's always been air happy. Well, what is a running back of that quality for a team?
I think you would hope that they would run the ball more, be maybe more of a physical team, less passes in the air, though that's going to hurt Dak's numbers. And look, it kind of can go both ways. I say you go get a running back. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Saquon, whether it's – I mean, if they get Saquon, though, Rudy, you got to admit –
It's good. It's good on paper.
It's good on paper with a better offensive line, though the Giants have improved. But
I think the Giants are probably. I mean, they're going to improve this year, and I'm not going to the Daniel Jones bandwagon again.
No, well, he's your guy, Rudy. You have to stick with him, just like I have to stick with Tua.
That was
though. At least Tua is actually. Hey.
How go ahead?
He's been. I mean, look. He got into the playoffs last year, and they put 70 or almost 70 points on a team.
Hey, Daniel got him to the playoffs the year before.
Rudy, his numbers. Go look at his numbers, Rudy. Don't get me started on Daniel Jones. Go look at his playoff season and tell me if his touchdown to INTs, that stat line was any good. Please tell me.
No, it wasn't. But you know what's ironic is that
look it up.
I'm rooting for a guy who's a former Duke player. Yeah, you're rooting for a guy who's a former Bama player. Our two biggest rivals in college, and we're rooting for opposite players. That's kind of ironic how it is, man. But
look, I mean, it's in the NFL.
See, Tim knows.
I tend to separate the two. But look, in 15 touchdowns. So everyone,
do we really have to go back this far?
15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He got to the postseason. Can anyone tell me, is that all-pro world beater there?
No.
Now, if you look at Tua's numbers, which I'm about to just talk about really quickly here.
Are you talking to all-time Tua? Because, I mean, Tua
I'm talking about this year. 29 touchdowns, 14 picks.
Awesome. Why don't you give Daniel Jones the same receiving core that you give Tua?
Don't do that.
And then we try. No, and then we can talk. Give him a receiving core like you give Tua, and then we can talk. Give any damn quarterback that receiving core.
Rudy, you have to wait. Okay. Daniel Jones made the playoffs with 15 touchdowns and 5 picks. That's all I have to say.
Touchdowns.
Because of his running back, in which I say Dallas should go after Saquon Barkley. Look what Saquon did. He got in the second round.
He did. But you have what Brian Dable is a running coach, man.
Well,
they run the ball. That's something.
They have to because they don't protect very well, and their best offensive lineman was out not the entire year, but Thomas, aka from Georgia, by the way.
Yeah.
They have a good. They're getting better, but look. Cowboys, Jerry, if you're listening, I know you're up there in that estate.
He listens.
Wherever you live. I don't even know where you live at. Go get Saquon. Go get Derrick Henry. Get a running game. Because if you get a running game, you're going to limit Dak's pass production, right? The more passes you throw, really what? The more chances of interceptions, quote unquote. Obviously, it's not every game is different, but get a power running game. And trust me, if they got a running game in there, Rudy, I think they have a shot. But also, their identity needs to change.
Yeah.
Green Bay just out. They just really out physical them in that game.
You're right, man. But the thing, it goes like I said, a million times it's going to go back to will they run the damn ball? McCarthy doesn't like running the damn ball. Now, you get look at the Dak thing. Do I think that a Saquon makes a difference? Yeah. Do I think a Henry makes a difference? It moves the needle. That's what it does. What they do with those players, I have no idea. But why? My thing is, if you're going to sign Dak to this money, and it may not be this offseason, it may be heading into next offseason that he's going to get this money. You got to make a change, man.
Could he sit out? Because a lot of the rule is normally you pay the quarterback before the year, unless you're Daniel Jones or some other person where you don't sign them. But they're going to have to – it's going to probably be this offseason unless Dak's like, all right, you know what? I'll prove it to you that I'm worth it. But if I'm Dak, I want my money before my contract's up.
He's going to get his money. And, he's going to get it from Jerry because, like the point was made earlier, there's nobody other than Dak Prescott out there for the Cowboys. There's nobody you can go get. You can start Trey Lance. Tim's asking, what about a Trey and Barkley duo, for the Cowboys? I don't see that as being massive for the Cowboys.
The problem is we don't know what he is, really.
You don't really know what Trey Lance is. He could, for all we know, he could be, Trey Lance's Trey Lance. He could be, the next Brock Purdy. I have no freaking idea. Until you actually get Trey out there. But when you seem Trey not able to make it in a Kyle Shanahan system, that's kind of concerning because that's kind of like a quarterback whisperer right there. So it's kind of concerning if you can't make it in a Kyle Shanahan system. Hell, the guy made Jimmy.
Well, he was hurt though. Remember, he was out for quite some time. He comes back, and Purdy kind of just took the job. I don't think Trey ever got a fair chance. Realistically, ever got a really fair chance. But that's how the NFL is. If you're hurt, next man up. And we have the Lord here saying, "Bring back Tim Tebow." Look, not the biggest Tebow fan, but he did go on that run, Rudy, and got to the playoffs and beat the Steelers. But, yeah, see, as Chris says, they lost his job due to his injury. He never got a fair shot. So,
oh, yeah, you can't. You can't say that. But even that, it just seemed like they weren't really going with him, even in the offseason, Gio. It's like it should have been a sure deal prior injury that Trey Lance was the guy in San Francisco. And it never really came out that he was the guy in San Francisco. You're talking about off-season workouts. You're talking about preseason stuff. He never, and that's what concerns me about Trey Lance with the Cowboys. Is you're right. You made the great point. You don't know what we have when it comes to Trey Lance, and that's kind of sad. If he couldn't excel in a Kyle Shanahan quarterback whisperer system, that's concerning to me. That's probably why San Francisco was just able to dump him wherever he could.
I think there's a coach out there who will be able to put some life in him. And look, I'm not saying for the Rams to go get Trey Lance.
Yes, you are. You wouldn't.
But once upon a time, Sean McVay was in Washington. They had Robert Griffin. He took off. Sean McVay, listen, what he did with Baker Mayfield, he put some life back into him. And look what Baker did. Got to the I think the Pro Bowl, and then also a win, and had a chance late to beat the Lions. So I think there's an offensive coach out there who can take Trey Lance and really take him to the next level. He's still young, Rudy. He's still young, and
he's very young. There's no doubt about that.
He's still raw. He has legs. It was just unfortunate, kind of a weird thing. He got hurt, and then Brock Purdy, and then San Francisco moved up. No one talks about that crap where the 49ers mortgaged some on their future, but no one brings it up because obviously Purdy saved the day, right? Yeah. But that was a terrible trade, Rudy, in hindsight.
It was very, very bad, man. Hey, we got to bring this up real quick. We're going to share this, and then we're going to talk about it towards the end of the show here. We only are on for 1 hour today, only an hour today for sweep the league. But one thing we are going to be talking about here is if you see the Dad Rock playlist, Alamo City Sportscast in the morning, they're doing a playlist for you guys on Spotify. We're going to mention some rock songs that we want played on there, but also go to the comments, go to @2shots podcast, drop your comment or a song on there. Facebook, if you follow me on Facebook, on Gio, or even Joe Garcia from Two Shots Podcast, it's there. Post your songs there. They're going to make a massive playlist for the weekend. It's Dad Rock. It's 2000 Dads Rock here at Sweep the League and at Alamo City Podcast Network.
I'm gonna recommend some Creed.
You know what? Creed was actually on my list too. You know
what though? Creed got a lot of. I don't know what is the hate with Creed. I actually enjoyed some of their songs back in the day.
I can honestly say I owned all the Creed albums.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, there's been some hate with them over there. I'm like, I actually enjoyed Creed. Still, what you want to say?
Jimenez requested Selena song. See, you know what? Let's take a commercial. I got something about that I got to bring up here.
Someone was talking about his Mexican food that he was eating. I saw on Twitter.
Did see that? Yeah, I saw that too. Hey, we'll be back. Sweep the League. Go MCS. A little quick shout out to MCS General Contracting. We'll be right back.
MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Chris Leha, MCS General Contracting. Great sponsors, great guy out there. Appreciate everything you do. Darth is in here. Yeah, dude. Creed. He's asking Creed. Really, Creed?
Hey,
yes, man, Creed.
Listen, they had. Hey, man, Rob Thomas. Though Rob Thomas isn't quote unquote rock, but he had some good hits too.
Rob Thomas. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
During that time, was he solo at that time around 2000, or was he still with Matchbox 20?
I don't know. He could have still been. Actually, he was still with Matchbox 20.
Right?
I think it had to have been a few years later when he went solo, and he had that good song with Santana. I mean, look, I think to me, rock is obviously there's a lot of different kind of things that fit
versions.
In. Kind of different versions. I mean, you have Korn, right? I mean, that's a little bit different, Rudy. Yeah. And then you have more of the, I guess you could say, alternative music.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. You ain't got to explain it to me, man. You got to explain it to me. This is Sweep the League Monday through Friday, 2 to 3:30. Today, we're only on with you 1 hour. We're going to be off in an hour here. We both got a little bit of things we got to do, so we're going to cut the show short today. Man, they want to talk about music. We have to talk about music here. Give me a brief thing because I got about a 5-minute thing to talk about when it came to Jimenez and Selena songs, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of time to talk about rankings, not rankings, but college football that came out. Then we'll talk some rock here. We'll talk some definite music here because it seems to be the popular subject. I want to give them what they want. But NCAA football finalized everything, and they're coming out. They're saying, we're going to take the 5 conference winners and then the next 7 ranked teams. I have my issues with that, and the only issue I have, Gio, is I love the idea. But the issue that I have is the fact of, okay, you take your 5 conference teams and the next 7 ranked teams. Do you finalize those next 7 teams prior to the conference finals or the conference championships and say, this is the list? Or say you have a Georgia-Bama thing where, okay, Georgia wins, Bama loses, Bama goes to 6, and then say you have your, 12th team goes down to 13. But that's where it's kind of like, okay, how do they work that part of the thing? That's the only part I have, because if I'm, Liberty is a perfect example. I mean, you could have a massively great year, get into that top 12 only to see, number 2 and number 4 compete. Number 4 loses. They're going to drop, but they're not going to go to 13th or anything. So one team's going to have to fall.
It's going to be tricky. And I'm not sure they know really until maybe as college football gets closer, right, throughout the year, they'll figure out what's the kind of feel for it. But I'm with you, Rudy. The 5 conferences, obviously the SEC, right? I mean, no brainer. The Big 12,
ACC,
the ACC,
Big 10
Big
is
10,
one.
and the Pac. So the Pac is no longer. So who's because the Pac-10 or the Pac-2 or whoever's in the Pac. There's only 2 teams right now, right? I think Washington State and Oregon State, I think, are the 2 teams that are left in the Pac-10. I'm trying to figure out who's the last conference. Is it it can't be the American Conference. We might be missing. We'll have to take a look at that. But nonetheless, you're right, Rudy. I mean,
well, you got to remember they're also considering like Notre Dame. Even though they're not in a conference, if they're ranked in a certain
you're right
part, then they get an automatic bid into.
I think the top 12. I mean, it's tough because obviously conference championships will, But Rudy, some years we're gonna have in the Big 12, Rudy, with Texas and Oklahoma leaving. It's possible you can have a 3 or 4 loss team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that.
It's bound to happen. You could have, I don't know, Iowa State or Oklahoma State, and I'm sure Oklahoma State's happy that Oklahoma and Texas is leaving. They've been a side of their thorn. But I'm glad, Rudy, it's time to expand. I would have loved to see maybe 8 first, right? Mm-hmm. Then go to 12, but we're going straight from 4 to 12. So yeah, I think it's going to be 16 is too much. I'm not.
Well, no, go ahead.
Yeah, but I think there's a comment that says 16 teams. I think that's just nah. I think 12 is good, and I don't want to start getting into 16, 20, and then it's going to start watering things down.
But then, it's kind of like you go, and that's what I was mentioning. You've got teams like, let's throw Boise State, let's throw, like we said, Liberty. Some of these teams, if they go undefeated and they're ranked right below those 12, then
yeah,
you're going to have issues regardless. Even though you went to 4, you're going to have issues. I mean, that's almost like taking them March Madness.
Rudy, I mean, the SEC is going to – people are going to hate on the SEC, Rudy, but there's going to be a lot of teams from it's going to be interesting because now it's going to cause a different type of issue. Mm-hmm. Because what? Are we going to have 6 SEC teams in the playoffs?
Right off the bat, you're going to have probably Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Bama. I mean, right off the bat, those 4 programs should be making the college football.
You're going to have Ole Miss would have made the playoffs this year.
Ole Miss is another one. LSU could have snuck in.
LSU could have snuck in. You're going to have years where Auburn's going to get back on track. It's going to be interesting. People are going to hate the SEC maybe even more. Obviously, now with Texas, Oklahoma might be a tad nip below, but with what Texas did last year, and
they're bringing back majority of their players. So.
Exactly. So think about this, Rudy. Texas, Georgia. I think we can agree those 2 teams, unless Texas falls off the face of the earth because switching to a new conference, and then obviously Ole Miss has been kind of in the thick of things over the last few years with Lane Kiffin. That's 3 teams. And obviously Alabama's a wild card. I think they could still get in. That's already 4. And then the rest of the teams who surprise, who can get in.
I mean, Tennessee can make it in still. I mean, you're right. There's so many teams in the SEC.
And the Big Ten. The Big Ten is expanding, right? You have UCLA coming in. USC is in the Big Ten.
Utah coming in? Or are they staying? It's something that we got to look up. This is something that we didn't know.
There's been so many different – that's a good – I'm not sure if Utah – I know UCLA, USC, they're going in. Obviously Michigan, Ohio State, right? And then Washington. Washington's moving to the Big Ten, really. So as much as people think, 12 teams, it's probably going to be tough, Rudy, to get the best 12. It's going to be another – sure, your conference winners, but – still, it's going to be real difficult. You're
right. Chris is right. You forgot about Florida. University of Florida is another one, and Utah's in the Big 13 is what Chris Gonzalez says. But yeah, they did move into the Big 12 conference. So, I mean, you're looking at I mean, if you're looking at Big 12, I mean, Utah's another
That's
one.
an interesting conference. You know, UCF was there last year. There are a lot of movement. Kansas, right? The resurgence of the Jayhawks. I think it's going to give some new life, Rudy, into college football because the 14 playoff has been a little, and we can agree, kind of redundant with the big powerhouses, right? Now, Rudy, you can get the little guy, right? Maybe Kansas upsets a big time team in the postseason. So it's going to be fun. I do miss, as Tim Gonzalez just said, that no more SEC on CBS. I used to love the little tune that they played. Now it's the Big Ten. You know, funny story. The first game of Big Ten football, you know, I live in Indiana now. The Indiana Hoosiers were playing. I said, how is in? And I forgot the Big Ten now is partnering with CBS. So
yeah.
So Utah, Colorado, Arizona. That's right. Colorado's leaving, in Arizona State. Colorado. Do you think Deion makes a run next season already?
No, not as long as Shadur Sanders is quarterback there. I don't think it matches well. And what I've said, the best thing for Shadur Sanders is to go to a different college where his dad is not the coach. He needs to expand his game.
You don't think the strides will, the beatings that they learned from themselves last season will help transfer?
How does it help? How does it help? Okay.
So many new players. No, I'm saying, but
yeah, no.
With so many new players, Rudy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, Deion came in. A lot of players left. A lot of new players came in to try to mesh, and they had some big wins and some really bad. Right. So with new players coming in, it's interesting to see what Deion can do there.
It's but the other thing with the Colorado is they were all hyped. Everybody was on that hype train. I even thought, okay, maybe they're legit. Maybe they're a legit team. I kind of like what I saw. But as the season progressed, you saw, the true Colorado team. The offensive line really struggled. They couldn't run the ball. They're one of the worst rushing teams. Not that the Big 12, those conferences run the ball, but nonetheless, they struggle. But really, with some help at the offensive line, some influx of talent, it's possible. Right? Texas, Oklahoma's gone. So before we move on to Locked On Spurs comment, Rudy, who do you think wins the Big 12 next year as Texas, Oklahoma's gone? Who's the front runner, you think? Oh, man. I like Kansas. I think Kansas is my front runner.
Kansas. I like Oklahoma State as well. They're always going to be in there. But those two teams, but yeah, I can't wait, Rudy. Me and college football. I love college football. So,
and I think you don't want to sleep on Utah ever.
Oh no. Yeah, definitely. No, they're a well-coached team. Kyle has them playing. They're going to be fine.
Yeah, no, for sure. So college football is going to be great next year. I'm actually getting hyped for college football. We do have some NFL draft talk that we're going to talk this week. I know people like talking NFL draft on our show, so we'll talk NFL draft this week. This is Sweep the League Monday through Friday. We're here for you for 2 to 3:30 today. We'll be here for about another 20 minutes, and then we're going to end the stream. It's only going to be an hour today, but I mentioned earlier they were talking about Jimenez doesn't like Selena songs, and then I think Locked On brought in the conversation that Jimenez doesn't care for Tejano music. To be honest, I had that phase where I was a Tejano music, I guess, not aficionado, but I listened to it. Everybody listens to it.
Did you have the hat on?
No, I've never worn a cowboy hat in my life, ever.
Rudy!
Texas, I've never worn a cowboy hat.
That
goes for the trashy Dallas Cowboys, and that also goes for the actual, cowboy.
I've told my girlfriend if I ever move to Texas, I have to get a cowboy hat. And it's just
that's not a fact. That's not true.
No,
you don't have to. You don't have to at all. I've never owned one. I've never worn a cowboy hat.
Rudy, I want to see you one day. We should have a bet down the line. Rudy wears a cowboy hat.
We've got Duke and Carolina at the end of the year.
No, this needs to be a football bet. No, this needs to be a football bet.
We can do that. We can do that. Very trashy Louis Lina's in here. Yeah, man. Okay, so basically, Jimenez is a damn coconut. Leja's calling him coconut. That's for damn sure. And Leja brings it up. A pair of boots. I've other than Doc Martens or something like that. I've never worn an actual pair of cowboy boots.
Rudy,
I've never had the big old belt buckle.
Okay. That's fair. But Rudy, you're in Texas.
I
never.
I've never owned a pair of cowboy boots. I've never owned a cowboy hat.
Did your dad have a cowboy hat?
No, my dad never did, and my dad never owned a pair of cowboy boots either. So,
okay, well, I guess it's
like father, like son. The house sector of my life. Have I liked it? I mean, again, I'm on the train of I liked the Tejano music for a good maybe 6-7 months, I think, because there was an explosion of Tejano music in San Antonio, man. I mean, and this was pre Selena's death. There was an explosion. I mean, you had the biggest guy was Little Joe with me growing up with my parents. My mom and dad loved Tejano music, so I listened to Little Joe. But La Mafia was big around that time. Good God, Ram Herrera was big. Mas was big. Like, there was a lot of different big Tejano groups and artists out there. So, I mean, when your city is just, Tejano every single, way you turn, you're going to have to give it a chance. So I did give it a chance there. But no, let's bring up the Selena thing, because I actually watched the documentary earlier today. And,
which one is on Netflix?
No. So it's on Peacock. I saw it on Peacock. It's the Yolanda Saldivar, the Yolanda and Selena documentary.
I have not watched that just yet, but I will.
I saw it this morning, and again, I'm not even, I'm not talking shit about anything, so don't worry about that. People, I mean, she shot her. That's obvious. She shot her. I mean, that's no doubt about that.
Well, Rudy, it's, me, I'm a conspiracy theorist in certain things. There are a lot of conspiracies out there, but I have to agree with Rudy. I do believe she pulled the trigger. But conspiracy theorists, if you're listening, there are a lot of theories on what actually happened, but I think we all can probably just pretty much agree she shot her.
No, yeah, she shot her. I mean, there's no doubt about that. There's 100%, she shot her. The stuff that you kind of see in the thing now, it's kind of weird because during that time, Gio, stuff that was brought up on the documentary was circulating around, and I heard a little bit about that growing up, and it's kind of weird to hear the same thing. But again, I'm always the type where it's two sides to every story, and sadly, you're only going to get one side of this story because obviously Selena passed away.
Selena was. I mean, listen, I've listened to the music throughout 3 years I was alive then. She was, to me, if she was alive, she would have been bigger than Beyonce. Trust me on that.
Wow, really? You really think so?
I believe so.
Even though Beyonce wasn't around then.
Around then, I can honestly say, because her American album did really well.
Could you say Beyonce level? Like, I would say equal to, but you're thinking bigger than Beyonce.
Bigger.
We're gonna have to get this clip. Can you clip this and then send it? Because I need to put this. This is new because you never lived in San Antonio.
I never have, but I've throughout the years I've seen docs, I've seen performances. The one there in Houston, and I just feel like she would have been bigger than Beyonce. Call me crazy, but I think she would have.
Yeah, see, Jeff's on about the rock capital. San Antonio was the rock capital of the world for a while, man. I mean, we had all the rock stuff here. We were big time rock, and all of a sudden went downhill. What happened to it? I have no idea. I don't know what happened to it. I think.
Rudy, did you have any pictures of long hair with black eyeshadow, anything like that, Rudy? Any
black
stage
eyeshadow.
of your?
I never had the black eyeshadow. It was kind of weird. I was in. Actually, what's funny is Darth Radio. Lord of Abomination here, Selena would never have been a big star. I've heard that a million times too. She would not have been a big star. And it's to his point too. I see both sides of the spectrum. I can see, okay, she could have been blown up, but here's where I say she would not have been a big star, Gio. And this might even open eyes. The reason why she probably wouldn't have been a big star is because she doesn't have the same type of exposure as a Beyonce would have. There was really, internet wasn't that thing then. You weren't streaming music. The only way to get the music was you had to go to Sam Goody or Sam Ash or wherever your music was available back in the day, and you had to purchase CDs, go to Best Buy when the entire store was filled with CDs and cassettes. You had to purchase the music. You had to hear it on the radio. Now, if Selena was alive making the music then, and the internet, and you had streaming and everything, I think she could have been really, really big. But at that time, I doubt she gets that kind of exposure Beyonce-wise.
I don't know, Rudy, because the international. See, I'm thinking global here, right? International. And I think she would have continued to make, obviously, her heritage and also, obviously, American music as well. I just feel like as big as Beyonce is, I just think from a global perspective,
I got no pictures. I have no pics of that.
If
I have no pics of
you
that.
can find them, send them to me. But I went to school.
I don't know. No lies. I went to school with John there. I have no pics of that. If there are pics of that, I definitely need to see these as well. Thanks, John. I need to see those if there's there. I miss those days. But no, I you know what you're saying, man. I mean, it's kind of hard because I think she wouldn't have had the exposure that a lot of these people would have had right now. And, you know, that kind of hurts, man. You know, John is also saying so she wouldn't have reached Gloria Estefan level. I've heard people say she could have been Gloria Estefan level. I mean, Gloria Estefan made it really, really big, both in the crossover scene. So, I mean, English and Spanish. So it's kind of like, okay, would Selena have made it that big? I don't know. Again, I don't know.
I think so.
I think she was, okay, let me see if I can put it this way, man. She was massively worldwide in a local level. Like South Texas was Selena country. Like she was massive. Mexico, she had just, she started diving into Mexico stuff, Mexico City and all that. She got big there. Would it have made it far north, even at the English level, like the English CD release? Would she have made it that far up? That's my question, man. I mean, there's not a whole lot of Tejano music back then, going Dallas and all up. I mean, it was kind of hard. So it's hard to say she would have been massive on a global level. It's all speculation, to be honest with you. I don't know.
I think her American album did very well, Rudy. It could have been the start of something special.
But it could have. Okay, so, and also think about it. It did so well, but she had passed away.
Well, yeah.
So then that adds to the nostalgia of, well, okay, everyone's buying the CD because it's the last album, because it's this. And the CD was great. We owned the CD in my household. My mom played it all the time. But then it's like, okay, if it wasn't for her passing, does that CD blow up as big as it did? It's so many, like, what if. That's the documentary I want to see.
What if, Rudy? There are a lot of what if in sports. What if the Buffalo Bills win one Super Bowl, right? What if the Falcons never let the Patriots come back? It's so many what if moments.
Yeah. Why do you bring up Falcons? I have no idea.
I don't know, but it was the first travesty that I thought of.
All right, when we get back, we're going to be diving into some dad rock here. We got about 10 minutes left in the show. This is Sweep the League. Coach Gio, Rudy Campos. We'll be right back.
Locked on Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Yeah, don't forget, man. You got to follow Jeff Garcia, our good friend here from Locked On Spurs at Jeff G Spurs Zone on X. Locked On Spurs. We make appearances on that all the time, man. So don't forget to give Jeff some love out there. All right, man. So we're talking Selena, which I didn't even expect to talk about today. I just funny because I saw the documentary and I thought, I've heard this, I've seen this. I get why you're trying to maybe say that, it was an accident. It was an accident. I don't care. Accident or not. I mean, you pulled the trigger. You're at fault for it. Who gives a rat's ass? You're at fault. I'm not worried about anything like that, man. So we got other comments in here, man. I didn't know about Selena until she died and I lived in SAC. That's what I'm telling you, Gio. That's what I'm telling you. Chris Gonzalez is saying
that comment's crazy to me.
That's what I'm telling you. The international, the talk about her going global and all this other stuff, it was a local thing in my honest opinion. It was like South Texas and down. I don't think she could have gone any further north. She could have tried, but I don't think she would have gone any further north. I think her passing actually opened up those gates to where everybody knows about her. I mean, because of her father's not been because of her father. I mean, father was there. Moneybags, Jeff Garcia, Selena today, same age, would be a global star on the scale of Taylor and Beyonce and Bay. You're agreeing with Gio on that. And again, it's so hard to to think about. Selena had a day dedicated to her. Shout out to George W for doing that. George W. Bush did give her Selena Day. We got a lot of comments, but we got to get some songs here in a minute. We got that one already. She's trying to put on a good face for her parole. That she is. And you know what? Let's be real. She did her time. I mean, she was to do a minimum of 30 years. That she gets out next year. So, I mean, she's done her time.
Actually, we can leave that for another day. But it's going to be interesting when she gets out, Rudy. She's not going to be well-liked, to say the least. I don't actually think she should come to the country. Though I think she'll have to stay in the U.S. But if that was her, I would try to go to Canada, Alaska. Actually, Rudy, Alaska. That might be a good. I hope she's not. I hope she's not listening. But you probably want to go to Alaska.
Yeah, if it was a local thing, only the movie wouldn't have been made. Yeah, I mean, again, it's tough, man. This is a subject. I wish we could probably get a nice entertainment subject going on this year. We got to dive into a lot of that stuff. Last comment here. People get confused with Jennifer Lopez. They did not look like Jennifer Lopez. Yeah, I don't know if any actors really truly look like people they portray when it comes to like biographies or anything like that, man. But it says sweep the league. Hey, we're going to show this right now. Joe Garcia, he woke me up at 3 a.m, Gio, and he told me, like, you need to post this today. We need to talk about this. I said, okay, Joe. Okay. We're going to talk about this. So promise, Joe, we're going to be talking about Dad Rock playlist, man. Now, the thing with Dad Rock is what exactly? What are we talking? You mentioned Creed earlier, Gio. So Creed's going to be at the top of your list, right? I'm sure.
Well, Creed, there's 3 Doors Down, Kryptonite. That's also a very popular. Switchfoot, kind of a crossover between both. Rudy, Linkin Park, man.
Yes, dude.
That's
early Linkin Park.
Early Linkin Park. I
haven't heard anybody say Deftones.
That's another one. Nickelback, which is another band that gets a lot of heat. But
oh my god, don't tell me you like Nickelback. Come on, man.
They had a few songs. Look at this photograph. I'm trying to think. Nickelback. Come on. The Theory of
Deftones, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, Deftones has to be on that.
Deftones, The Theory of a Dead Man. That's another one.
Oh yeah. Now, would you put U2 on there? Because I think 2000 was a beautiful day. That came out around that time.
They're there. I think it would be good to.
What's up, Matt? How you doing, man?
To put them on there.
Limp Bizkit, Rollin'. That was 2001, I believe.
Yeah.
So that should be in there.
The Foo Fighters.
Marilyn Manson's another one. Jesus Christ, how could you forget about Marilyn Manson? That's that, and I don't know what Joe says. Dad rock music, but what is dad rock? Because if it's dad rock, I mean, you've got older pops where you're talking like, you're talking about the lower guys, like you said, maybe what is it, 3 Doors Down, you can also maybe do stuff like what shit. I mean, Lifehouse is even a damn freaking
no, yeah. I mean, there's so many bands that you can think of. I'm trying to think. Coldplay, though they came a little bit later, a little bit different type of music, but there are a lot of things. Listen, talk about Nickelback all you want, but they're a pretty popular band back in the day.
Chill out, man.
Creed.
That's another one.
Yeah.
I agree. Nickelback is ass, dude. I wasn't a big you cannot. My dad, and he says, Matty Lerman says, my dad listened to Led Zeppelin. Like, okay, well, yeah, that's another one. You go in our dad's generation, was Led Zeppelin, Ozzy Osbourne, stuff like that. Black Sabbath was one. Yep. But they're talking 2000. So U2 from Scranton. I don't know about that one. Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's another. Well, no, Chili Peppers was in the 90s.
Well, but they had songs in the 2000s already, so they
did have songs in the 2000s. But I guess
and the Goo Goo Dolls.
So Goo Goo Dolls was early 90s. No, Goo Goo Dolls was 90s.
But they had some good hits though in the 2000s.
Offspring's another one. Offspring in 80s.
I mean, there's
that's the one we got to do. 80s hair bands rock playlist. That would be an awesome one. Yeah, we got to. You have the hair. You got to get the wig, Gio, to do the hair.
Yeah, I know, right? I ought to get a wig.
Molly Crew. They had stuff in the early 2000s, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Foo Fighters.
Yeah, they had some.
Did the Foo Fighters have shit during that time, or were they?
They did. I thought they did. Three Doors Down was really good.
If you had to pick one, I'd say if you had to pick two, give me a concert. Give me the Coach Gio concert of 2000. Band.
Well, I mean, look, I already talked about Creed. I was a fan of Creed. I mean, I really.
I'm not saying that
song.
bad. I was a Creed fan. I was.
So I feel like they're gonna have to be there. Three Doors Down, Kryptonite was one of my favorite songs, and they have so many other ones. I know Goo Goo Dolls is a band that started in the 90s, but they had hits in the 2000s, so you definitely have to throw them in there. And Linkin Park, Rudy. I mean, it is that music in school, riding on the school bus and listening to Linkin Park on my CD player. I mean, that's gold. Yeah.
You know what's funny is Primus is another one. John's bringing up a lot of good ones. I love Primus. Primus is really, really good.
Oh,
yeah. He brings up the Butthole Surfers. I'm gonna add a Butthole Surfers song.
How about the is it pronounced Evanescence, right?
Evanescence, but that wasn't 2000s, was it? Early?
Yeah, it wasn't early 2000s. A little bit later on, her song was in Daredevil, so that's what 2007, Rudy. What year did that met Ben Affleck?
You would have to look that up. I have no idea.
But she had some good hits. I mean, I was. That's one of the only. I want to say emo, but
LinkedIn part. That's a good one right there. Limp Bizkit. How did we forget Limp Bizkit? Oh, we did mention Limp Bizkit with Roland. We did mention Limp Bizkit earlier. Creed and Nickelback. Let's see. Creed and Nickelback are the same band that is Kirk Cousin and Dak Prescott of the bands. That is so true, I think, man. Creed. If you had to pick between Creed and Nickelback, it would probably be Creed, right?
Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Drowning Pool's another one. Van Halen is the ultimate rock. There's the ultimate dad rock band. I agree with that, man. Yeah, there's so much. Go at Two Shots Podcast on X. Click on that post. List all your songs. Joe's gonna put a whole lot of songs on this playlist, so you don't want to miss out. Get your song on there, whether it be from the Butthole Surfers all the way to Pearl Jam. Green Day was another one. I mean, there's just so many. Put them on that list. That way Joe can put them.
If you want to put Backstreet Boys on there, boy bands.
We gotta do the boy band one. I bet you we can name a lot of boy band stuff if we did that, Gio. Don't deny it, man. You were singing that stuff. I think everybody was.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I was alive. I mean, I was there. It was a crazy. That whole boy band era really was crazy. I remember it very vividly everywhere.
Be sure to let everybody know in the next show tomorrow if you were. I'm going to ask you, did you have the frost tips? I'm pretty sure you did. You look like a kind of guy that had the frost tips.
Not really. That wouldn't go well with my skin tone.
Oh my god!
Well, my skin tone.
We're gonna end it on that note here, man. Chris Leal did say Chris G's been spitting today. I love it. Chris Gonzalez, thank you for everybody. Thank you everybody that participated today. Like I said,
thank you everyone.
Don't forget to drop those band names or those band songs, whatever you want, on Joe's at Two Shots Podcast on X or even on Facebook. If you see me posting on Facebook, drop it on Facebook. We definitely will be posting them on that thing. B2K boy band. Yeah, there's a lot of boy bands. We're talking to boy bands. Maybe we'll get Derek Urban to give us some boy bands. Who knows? But hey, man, until we sweep the league again tomorrow, Coach Gio, Rudy Campos Jr., Derek Urban should be back tomorrow. We got more sports talk tomorrow. Man, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, man. A lot of stuff to talk about tomorrow. So can't wait for tomorrow. Until we see you guys again, we will sweep the league again next time too. See you tomorrow. You take care, knuckleheads.